This was a late addition to the game, so when you find these crystal shards, they come, the storyline anyway, is all of the crystals in the world are sort of deteriorating and pieces of them land everywhere in the world. So who needs more health? Of course, Torch needs the most health because he's the main character. And Rylus is half dead, so there we go. Alright, yeah, so they were a very late addition to the game. I had a contest about them, but that didn't really reach much popularity. The contest was whoever found the most amount of crystal shards would win kind of a game coupon that would get them 50% off of any game. But of course that contest has ended way back in 09. Now looking back on this now, I'm wondering if I maybe made these kobolds too strong. They take maybe 3 hits in an event that, like before that previous battle, if they wind up tackling you, you continue to be stunned and it's an endless loop. Let's check what we just learned. We just learned a skill on that last battle, so Torch now learns Mend. He learns the weakest form of a healing spell. Of course, Rylus has no skills at this point. Here's another crystal shard. But again, really, we just want Torch to... Actually, we want to give Rylus some MP also, so his shark moves, when he gets them anyway, are the most powerful moves in the game. Because Rylus is just an axe-wielding powerhouse. I mean, that is his sole purpose. He's kind of the beat stick of the game. So a good mixture is always have Rylus and anybody teamed up. I mean, he's just... See, his physical attack is very strong, his accuracy is decent, and his critical hit rate is actually raised. It's because he's a fighting beast. I mean, that was his sole purpose when I designed him. The dungeon, these were also kind of a late addition also, is musical instruments that you could use, and when you use them they would cause some kind of elemental damage. The idea story-wise is that when you use the musical instrument, you're invoking the spirit of the goddess who actually enjoyed listening to that instrument. It would be kind of a way of communicating with them and asking for their help if you weren't naturally an evoker. Of course, evokers in this game are people like Kiona, this mysterious white-haired enemy. This is my problem because it's my job. Of course, he orders these soldiers to kill them, and this is the first boss fight of the game, if you don't already consider that zombie from how tough it was. But Torch also has a second skill, Blade Toss, where he'll kind of just use his blade as a boomerang and sort of swing it, but really that's only effective on flying enemies, you know, from enemies you can't reach. So best bet is to just kind of use Vengeance Flash. Although, really, I designed the game to kind of anticipate the player having grinded, and you would be grinded up enough to a level where Rylus would have his first shark move. So, without us having done that in the first place, it's actually a little bit harder than usual. Rylus's skill category is called Self-Taught, since the idea behind him is, of course, he's not formally trained in any way of combat. It's just just a brawler. He just comes up with whatever and swings his arms and legs around with his weapon. And finally he learned Hammerhead, first shark skill. Of course the villain is evil enough to have assaulted her physically. And this is the first mention of the seal. Of course, storyline wise, we can't really necessarily mention what that means. He also mentions he's a member of Rodalva. Of course, storyline-wise, he had to mention it, otherwise, you know, you wouldn't be hunting that name. So really they say, Rodalva? What's Rodalva? That's not your problem. Next question would logically be, why did you tell us? But, you know, in terms of writing, they had to have brought it up at some point. You know, maybe he could have mentioned it to the soldiers or something, but either way, he wound up just kind of saying, hey, I'm a member of Rodalva, too bad for you guys, you don't know what that is. Okay, so let's kind of just speed on through back to the entrance. See, even the enemies run away from you. You're high enough level now, they recognize that you could kill them and in basically one hit. So, thankfully, if you keep encountering bats, they're going to run from you. It's funny to think that when you first encounter a bat, it actually thinks that it could take down you as a human being. That's how weak you are when you enter the dungeon. Alright, so we're encountering enchanted slime. Let me go ahead and kind of demonstrate one of Rylas' skills, since, you know, the walk back to town is pretty boring. That one is pretty basic, but it does a lot more than his regular attack. I think this was the last game that I had allowed running on the world map. Mostly because enough people had played it and said, hey, you know, I'm tired of moving slowly on the world map. Can you please change that? And, you know, I'm willing to listen to fans, and of course I changed. And it turns out everybody liked it much better. Now that we have a bunch of money from the dungeon, let's go ahead and just buy whatever we can from the store. We both want shields. Actually, we gotta be kind of frugal here. Yeah, okay, there we go. We want shields and we want headbands. We want to go all the way back to the old Coot's house and tell him personally that we failed to do one single job for him. And you get to see the inside of the cabin, kind of small. Here's his wife over here. Kiona's mom. I didn't give her a name. I thought I had given her a name. He tells you to take a seat, because he can tell by the look on your face that you have failed miserably, or rather he can sense Kiona's presence has faded away. And at this point, this is where he says, hey, Rodalva ticker, do you know anything about that? This is also the first mention of Evokers, evocation. Evocation is the ability to manipulate the properties of the world to your advantage, and use it as kind of an attack ability, etc., or healing, or protection. Yeah, their spiritual energy is far below that of elves. Of course, elves are the most powerful evokers. Really, humans can kind of play with evocation. So most of the time, they're just not in tune with the goddesses enough that they can do that. This is the first time that Urid mentions the Evocation Academy. A human can never become a true evoker. They may learn spells or tricks, but in the end, their years there, they can never become masters of the abilities. Mostly because elves are the only ones that can communicate with the goddesses. See, this is where the plot line thickens. He says, if people can't become evokers, how come you say Kiona was an evoker? And that's the point. People were trying to kidnap her for that very reason. Okay, so Urid reminds them that he still hired him. He hired the mercenaries to find his daughter Kiona, and so their only choice is to try and find the Rodalva group. Okay, so our only leads come from heading back to Mvale Village, because we don't know any other locations. We're going to ask around about Rodalva. Okay, let's ask this old guy here about Rodalva. Logically, he would know because he's at house. And of course, there has to be an obligatory bandits section of the game where the main character has to deal with bandits and get rid of them. Of course, he explains the bandits have a fortress built out west. Once you get there, it should be a one-story building. Try and locate the stolen trade agreement with Foxton Village. It is necessary to begin trading with Foxton. Okay, so we're strong enough. We've got enough time. We can run over to the bandits. Oh, first overworld enemies are these giant eyeballs called Seekers. I tried to make it ironic where they're eyeballs, but they blind you. So, of course, everything else in the world is blocked. Seems like Caravan having trouble getting through here, so you can't go south. You can't go north. Well, technically you could go north. You know, Midpoint Woods is to the north. But when you come here, there's someone blocking the way. Sorry, citizen, but we're searching for someone and I can't let you through. Who are you looking for? Of course, these people are searching for Kiona also. So they're just searching these woods. They haven't reached over to Mvale yet. And the bandit fortress is here. Alright, so let's save the game. Since we've been playing for 46 minutes, let's go ahead and continue it next time.